Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Growing in the Journey of Christ. Today, I have Chino Power with me, who I have the lucky to call my brother right now, my family. Hi, Chino.
Hi, how you doing, Anita? How's
um,
everything?
I'm good. I'm
That's
good. How are
good.
you
That's
feeling
good.
today?
I'm just grateful to be here, honestly. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited for the journey we're about to have in this on this time.
Yes,
Yeah.
same. So I will be asking you a few questions today.
Okay.
You can answer as honestly as possible, and would
hmm
just love to hear about your journey.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Alrighty. So my first question to you right now would
Mm.
be, what would you say to people who love God and the world?
Man, that's a great question. That's a
Yeah.
good question. So with loving God in the world, I think always I see it as a process. It's never clear cut in the beginning, especially in the beginning phases. Like if you're like a new believer,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be difficult because that's all you've known. And so
Yeah.
now to have a whole mindset shift also comes with its battles, just like any type of drug, you
Yeah.
you have withdrawals. And so understanding like, yes, this is something you're gonna have to go through, but it's not going to determine your walk as long as you keep your heart surrendered to God. And as you grow, then that's when you mature in faith and then you realize, hey, there's certain things I used to do. I know now with a deeper, closer relationship with God that this doesn't please Him. So let me put this down. But it comes with time and experience, and that's why I say it's a process. Now, for the people that know God and that like they've been knowing God and they
Mm-hmm.
still love the world, Jesus says, listen, you can't be lukewarm because I'm going to spit you out. And
Amen.
so that's another thing too. So yes, there is grace, but at the same time, you can't abuse grace. So yeah.
Say that again.
So yes, there is grace, but you can't abuse grace. And so that is the key difference between someone who is going through a journey with God and someone who is just blatantly just living in the sin and
Yes.
then just
Oh
allowing
my
themselves to
gosh.
call themselves a Christian by night and by so
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. I love that so much because it has a lot of honesty to it and relating to me and most of the people. We've all been there, and we won't act now as holy, holy. It is a process, but
Absolutely.
it does get to a point where you know everything, you know
Mm-hmm.
how you're supposed to go. So grace
Mm-hmm.
can only go so far.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, my next question to you would be, what advice would you give to someone who says, I pray, I fast, I read the Bible, but God just never speaks to me?
Mm. That's you're coming with very good questions.
Yeah. Thank you.
So and I've been in those type of seasons. I've been in seasons
Yeah.
personally where I feel like I'm doing everything right. I'm praying, I'm fasting, but the thing I'm asking for the most, God isn't doing anything
Yeah.
about. And sometimes, there are many different factors, but the main factors I've come to realize in those seasons
Mm-hmm.
is sometimes God will be quiet because there are things that He might want to teach me in that moment. Or there are things that He wants to do through me and He
Mm-hmm.
can only do through me in wherever it is I currently am. So I might be praying for the next season, but God is like, no, I need you here because this is something that I'm going to use for your good and my glory. So that's one aspect of when it comes to not hearing from God. The other aspect too is, and this is something I've learned over time, is if I'm praying for something and I don't hear anything from God, more than likely, God has already spoken to me a while ago, and I haven't done what He's asked me to do. So the best thing to do in those situations is to go back to the last thing God told you to do and do that. Because at that point, that's when God now sees, hey, this person has opened themselves up to receive what it is I told them. So now they're ready for that next thing I can bless them with.
Oh,
Because,
wow.
most times we might want to go to the next phase and ask and be praying and fasting. God is like, listen, you don't have the capacity yet because you
Mm-hmm.
haven't allowed me to do the work I need to do. But
Mm-hmm.
once you do that, then I'm able to bless you and it won't crush you, but it will only elevate you and expand you to be able to do more for me and my kingdom. So that's kind of my answer for that. There's
Yes.
different factors, but truly understanding like, hey, maybe if I'm doing everything right, maybe there's something that God is trying to speak to me on and teach me. Because if you're praying and fasting, you have closeness to God, so you'll be able to listen to Him.
Yeah.
So maybe there's just a step you missed, or something that needs to be shifted in your heart that you don't realize. And so your prayer more so should be, God,
That's good.
search me. If there's anything in me that you see that needs to change, or anything that I'm not realizing, bring to the forefront so I can change it and do your will above my own will.
That is good. I needed to hear that too. That's actually really good. We do get to a point where it's like, what's going on? Like, what is happening? And I think each and every Christian has had that moment.
Absolutely.
But it really does go with just trusting Him and knowing that He's never failed you before.
Absolutely.
He will not start now.
Absolutely.
And then we just keep going.
Absolutely.
So
And
that's beautiful.
let me just add to that really quickly. There's one more prayer that I pray in those seasons. Whenever I'm asking for something, or trying to hear from God and don't hear anything, my prayer is also, Lord, even if you don't come through in this thing, even if the thing I want doesn't come to pass, I'm still going to serve you.
Yes.
You know, because then it transforms your heart posture to, God, what can you do for me? To, God, I'm here for you. Wherever you need me to go, whatever you need me to do, I'm going to do it. And it's in that humbleness of spirit and contrite spirit that God is fully able to work. So yeah.
That prayer is very important. I never thought that was possible until I went through a season where I felt like, okay, if I didn't have my firm foundation, I would definitely fall right now. I would just definitely perish right now. So that is a very, very important prayer. And I'm glad and I'm blessed to know that I'm there now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that firm foundation
God
is
is
very
good.
important. God is really great. My last final question for you is, has God ever changed your plan? As people, we always keep plans to secure ourselves, but what happens when God just redirects your plan?
Yeah, that's a good one. I can only give my own example of my life, if you allow me to.
Yes, please.
So, growing up, I am from London, England, born and raised, but I'm originally from Sierra Leone. And so, growing up in London, the biggest thing for me, because I'm an athlete, is basketball. I was big on basketball. That was my thing. I wanted to go to the NBA in England. So I joined like an elite basketball club, and I was getting recruited and everything like that. But at the same time, I was in my youth group in my church growing up.
Yeah.
And I was a leader in that space too. I was maybe like 14, 15. And I was leading, and I had a lot of friends. Growing up in inner city London, there's a lot of gang crime, knife crime, etc. So a lot of my friends were in these spaces, but by the grace of God, I was able to bring a lot of them to church. A lot of them got converted. A lot of them are still in the church and married in the church now, just from what happened when I was like 15, 16.
Oh, wow.
But at the same time, I was still heavy on basketball. And so I had to make a decision at one point. This is like a year before I moved with my family to the United States when I was turned 16. So this was around the time I was like maybe 15. I had to make a decision. Either I can continue playing basketball, the thing I love, the thing that my life was based around. I wanted to be the next LeBron James, or I can fully commit to where God is calling me, which is His ministry at the time in my youth group. And I made that tough decision, man. And that, in a sense, to me, that was God redirecting my path, because I had everything planned out. I was going to go to an academy in Europe, in Spain. After Spain, make it to the NBA, etc., etc. But God diverted me completely. But in the midst of that, like I said, all of my friends that I was around, they came to Christ. They got saved. They gave their life. And that's a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
So now, fast forward a year, I moved to Atlanta, Georgia that year. I didn't know anyone,
So you're like 16 at this time?
I was 16, yeah. I was 16.
Oh, wow. That's a very young age to be redirected.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a very young age. Imagine I had my group of friends. I was learning who I am at the same time. So it was a hard transition. Honestly, it was very, very hard. But I was just trusting God, like, God, listen, I'm here. You brought me here. Even though I wanted to stay, you brought me here.
Yeah.
So at the time, I was going to high school. It was my junior year. And I didn't have any friends. I didn't have no friends. To the point where sometimes I even ate my food in the lunch hall because there was no seat for me. I mean, not in lunch, sorry, in the bathroom. Is
What?
yes, yes.
I always
because-
think those are just for movies.
Oh no, 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 no! That was my life. That was my life. Because there was nowhere for me to sit.
That
I
is
didn't know
so
any
sad.
teachers, so it wasn't like I could go to a teacher's place. I didn't know where to go, so I just went to,
Yeah.
And then that's when the opportunity came for me to play basketball. Like there was a tryout, so I was like, you know what, Holy Spirit, like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
So I got the peace, and that's another thing. God speaks through many different ways, but one of the key ways that He speaks is through His peace. Once you have peace about a situation and you've prayed about it, God is in the midst of it. And sometimes, in addition to that, He'll confirm it from other people, etc., etc.
Yes.
But in this particular case, I had the peace that God was like, okay, yeah, go ahead. So I went ahead, did my thing, made the team immediately. And it was like, wow, like this guy, like, whoa, who is this? Who is this British guy that just came over here and he's so good and da da da. So people started to get more recognition and people, but of course I was still learning the American style of playing. It's a little bit different, just high school, how competitive it is. And then all of a sudden, to make a long story short, the football coach approached me and said, hey, listen, I want you to play this sport, football. I know you don't know anything about it. You're from England, but you have the size and I've seen you play basketball. You have the speed. Just try it. 2 weeks. If you want to play. If you don't want to play, I mean, if you play it and you try, you don't want to do it, at least you said you've done it.
I was still wondering because I know you as a football guy.
Yeah. No, I'm a basketball guy. Yeah. So this was my senior year.
Okay.
That last year, my senior year. So I spoke to my dad. My dad is coming from an African household. It's education. So the moment you try to deviate from that, it's like, oh, hey, what are you doing? And football is known as a rough sport. They're like, oh, we don't want you to do this. So my dad, he made a bet with me. He said, listen, if you can get straight A's this semester, I'll let you practice for 2 weeks. Just to practice. So I said, all right, Dad, bet. Because I was good in school, but I usually get like 1B. And, he was expecting me to get that 1B. But boy, I made sure I got that straight A's. So I practiced. I was allowed to practice. All it took was 2 weeks of just going out there, showing what I can do, and then we had what they call the spring game. It's just kind of like they kind of see how you are. The team is, the team plays against the team. Off of my spring game tape, from that point on, knowing that I was gonna play this game, I received 12 scholarship offers.
Oh.
Just off of that to big time schools, Notre Dame, Florida State,
Wow.
Auburn, Tennessee. Out of nowhere, like overnight, it's like I became like a mini celebrity. Like I was literally ranked in the nation for the position. I didn't even know what to do in the sport. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm telling you, it got to the point where they had to hide me because coaches kept coming to my school, calling my phone. They had to confiscate my phone because it was like so much traction, Coaches were like, oh no, this guy, and he's good in school and he can play and this. And I didn't know what I was doing.
It was like those fishes that came from the sea when Jesus was
I'm talking about,
birth.
I'm on New York Times, I'm on ABC, I'm on Sports Center, Sports Illustrated. People in England, even on the newspaper in London, they're finding out about this thing. It spread all over the world. Like people in Africa calling, hey, we heard about your son, this. It went nuts. I say all that to say, this wasn't something that happened by coincidence. If you remember, in England, I literally sacrificed what I was doing for his mission.
Right.
Only for God to now come back and give me something 100-fold to the point where I was able to make it to the NFL and play professionally off of 1 year of playing football.
Oh, wow.
So that's my testimony, knowing that God has always kind of redirected my path. And when I've trusted Him, He's always giving back 100-fold to where now there's a lot of things in my life now that have come because of that one decision of yes, Lord,
That is so
wherever you want me to
beautiful.
go, that's where I am. So yeah.
I love that. Especially for I feel like actually when it comes to the things of faith, correct me if I'm wrong, it's more harder for men.
Yeah.
Because even in church, we see more women than men.
Yeah. it's true.
So being able to have that discernment at such a young age, that is beautiful. Was it a thing of your parents were already were already Christians and following Christ, so you grew up into that as well, but you got to figure out the things your way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was.
So at what age would you say you were able to be like, okay, I know to pray for myself and not trust that my parents are praying for me. I know to read my Bible for myself. I know to listen to God for myself.
Honestly, that decision to like come to Christ myself actually happened later on in my life.
Oh, really?
Yes. So everything I had done had been stuff I had learned from my parents, and I just followed, just the path that they've kind of laid out for me. Train up the child in the way he should go. When he's old, he won't depart from it. So I kind of went on that path. But then I did go through, and we can go to another time. I deviated a little bit. Once you get all the success and everything gets to your head, and it was actually in that moment that I was able to, even though he done so much for me, I was able to experience God for the first time, to where I was like, all right, Lord, I'm choosing you. I know I can go this way and do it myself, but consciously, I'm choosing to stay here because it's not my mom's prayer. It's not what I grew up doing.
Yeah.
Everything I've done in the past. No.
Right.
I need you today. I need you forever moving forward. So yeah, it happened like a little bit later on in life. But again, just by my mom kind of doing what she did as far as like keeping me in the church, I was able to see what happened just off of that.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah. So thank you so much, Chino. You were great. I needed that, and I'm sure so many people are going to benefit from what we just shared today. So thank you guys for watching. I still have to go and hear the rest of that story because yes, I have the privilege, guys, of behind the scene. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you always. You know that. And thank you guys for watching this video. If you've got this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you guys on my next video. Bye.
Bye.